Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. Guys, we're coming into week 16. We're coming into the home stretch of this whole football thing. What y'all think about that? I think this usually gets I get a little sad because we're gonna go through this regular season and then we're gonna be in the playoffs and then it's gonna be all over. And I get, some of y'all might have to come hold me, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, as you can see, definitely have the Scully on today. Rationale behind that, it's cold outside and my heater's broken. So, I'm sure I'll hear comments about it in the comments, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. All right. So, we're going to go through these week 16 games real quick. And then we're gonna talk. We got a couple topics to talk about. So we got the week 16 games, and then we're gonna talk about some lies that we believed like this year, leading into this year. Whatever. I'm gonna just tell you some lies that I thought. Maybe y'all got some lies that you believed. Um, then we're gonna talk about who. Now that we're in the playoffs, it's pretty much showing who's gonna be what. Who's gonna lose in the first round? I think that's a very good question. Who's going to lose in the first round? Sorry, I just want to tighten this up. There you go. There you go. Who's losing in the first round that you think is going to be so amazing? And I'm hearing all the time it's going to be so amazing. Who's losing in the first round? Okay. And then who do you not want to see in the playoffs? That's a good question. If you a team and you saying, hey, I'm up here and everybody else is down here, of these teams that you saying are down here, who do you not want to see? This is what we're getting into today. And I'm very excited about it. So let's talk about let's go back to the Thursday night game. Thursday night game, which might have been, listen, that might have been the game of the year. Again, I know I've said that a couple times, but it's been true a couple times. Some of these games have been amazing. The Seattle Seahawks came all the way back and they beat the Rams 38-37 in overtime. So getting straight into that, Matthew Stafford, he was 29-49 for 457 yards, three touchdowns, and no picks. Jeez, he had 110 passer rating. Kyron Williams had 23 carries for 70 yards, but Blake Corum had 50 yards and he had the rushing touchdown. Puka Nacua had 12 receptions for 225 yards and two touchdowns. Yikes. My man went off. Nobody else even really matters. I don't even want to say nobody else's stats. Now, on the winning team, that's crazy that was the losing team. Sam Darnold was 22 of 34 for 270 yards, two touchdowns, and two picks. He got sacked four times. He had an 84 passer rating. Kenneth Walker had 11 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. Zach Charbonnet had a rushing touchdown as well. Jackson Smith and Jigba is continuing his great season, 8 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. And AJ Barner had a receiving touchdown as well. Now, if y'all didn't watch this game, the Rams had, I want to say in the fourth quarter, they was up by, I want to say 12 or somewhere between 12 and 14 in the fourth quarter. Either way, the Seahawks came back, tied it up. They went into overtime. The Rams scored, and then the Seahawks came down and scored and went for two in a very controversial 2-point play, which I'm sure will be reviewed uh, in the future. For this topic, I just want to talk about the Rams. First of all, for the Rams, you lost to a divisional opponent, a very good team, a dangerous team. I think not if they're not playoff losses, all losses aren't bad losses. Okay? You need to be shown that even when you're playing really good, you could be you can be beaten. And I mean, Matthew Stafford throwing for 457 yards and three touchdowns and no picks is pretty much illustrating how good the Rams were playing, Puka Nakua having 225 yards receiving kind of is showing you how good the Rams were playing. And I think that they needed to learn what's going to happen come playoff time if they take their foot off the pedal, which is exactly what happened in in my opinion. The Rams took their foot off the pedal. The Seahawks, who sees the Rams twice a year, said, "Okay, well, if you now that you came down here, we're still going to remain up here, and we got it from here. Don't worry about it." So I definitely feel as though that this is a lesson that needed to be learned for the Rams. They're my pick for the NFC crown too. So the Rams are still the pick that I have of who I think is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Very excited to see the NFC playoffs. It's a lot of teams. I just think sometimes you need some humbling, and they ain't been humbled in a while. So that's that. Seahawks is I'm gonna be talking about the Seahawks pretty soon. So y'all just stay there and chill. The next game we're talking about the Packers and the Bears. But this was round two. This is the second game that they played this year. The Packers and the Bears. The Packers won the first game, and the Bears. Why can I not find that game? What is wrong with me? There we go. And the Bears came back this game and said, "I got something for you." A little response. So the Chicago Bears beat the Green Bay Packers 22-16. Now for the losing team. Now Jordan Love did get hurt in this game, so got to keep an eye on that. I don't have all of those answers. Um, but Jordan Love had 77 yards passing. Malik Willis was nine. He had nine attempts for. He was 9 of 11 for 121 yards and a touchdown. And he was sacked twice. Emmanuel Wilson had 14 carries for 82 yards. He had a really good game. Malik Willis also had 44 yards rushing. And Romeo Dobbs had 5 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. And that's pretty much what's going on there. Caleb Williams, man, Caleb has been responding. Caleb is 19 of 34 for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He did not get sacked either. DeAndre Swift had 58 yards rushing. They didn't have any rushing touchdowns. DJ Moore had 5 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. And not really much more to talk about there. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. For a while there, it looked like the Packers was gonna win this game and sweep the Chicago Bears. They went for it on fourth down and they didn't get it, and it swung the whole momentum back to Chicago's side, and they figured out how to. They figured it out and got it together. Took the game into overtime. DJ Moore hit him for the touchdown, and that won the game. I'm paraphrasing. Now for the Packers looked amazing all year. Now they have a lot of injuries. The Packers have a lot of injuries, and I kind of feel I'm worried about them even making the playoffs at this point. Now Detroit did lose this week as well, which really helped them, but they still have to win out. The Packers have to win out, and looking at their last two games, they are playing. I know they are playing they. I'll tell you, they're playing. All right, they're playing the Ravens and the Vikings, who is a divisional opponent. So, both are losable games. We just got to keep an eye on the Packers and what they can do. Not predicting that they're going to lose the last two games. I'm just saying, with all these injuries, now we don't know if Jordan Love's going to be there. So now potentially Jordan Love is out in injury. Michael Parsons is gone for the year. Tucker Kraft has been gone for the year. You know, CJ Watson once again is out for the year. There's a lot of injuries, man. When you talk about okay, what's going to happen, and now they're going to play Baltimore, which will be an elimination game for one of these two teams. So whoever loses that game is definitely out of the playoffs. So going into playing a team like Baltimore, I don't know. We'll definitely see. Now for the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams has responded, y'all. Caleb Williams has responded, and he has arrived. Caleb, I see The confidence, when people say you overconfident, I have an issue when sometimes people say people or a person is overconfident because I all I hear sometimes is you just don't think that they are what they say they are. And Caleb Williams told you who he was. Now, for the first year and a half of his career, he definitely was an underachieving prospect. The last half of this year, it's been MVP level, MVP consideration. And the passes that he's dropping are passes now. Now he's caught up to the speed of the NFL, and now he's completing these wild, off balance passes like he did in college in the NFL. Before he couldn't, people criticized it. Now he has, and he is a problem for this league right now. So shout out to Caleb, and I'm very interested to seeing the Bears in the playoffs. I believe they clinched their playoffs spot already. I can't wait to see what they do in the playoffs. All right, who do we have next? Oh, don't even gotta look for anymore. Um, yes, I do have to look some more. I'm sorry, y'all. Jaguars, Broncos. So I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Jaguars. Jaguars put them paws on the Broncos. All puns intended. The Jaguars beat the Denver Broncos 34-20. So Bo Nix, he was Bo Nix, of course, that's the Broncos quarterback. He was 28 of 47, 352 yards, one touchdown, one pick. He was sacked one time. He had about an 81 passer rating. Not bad. RJ Harvey had 7 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown. Cortland Sutton, he was 6 receptions for 86 yards and one touchdown. And then RJ Harvey also had 71 yards receiving, showing his versatility. Troy Franklin had 66 yards receiving. So good game from them. Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was 23 of 36, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, although he was sacked 5 times, 115 passer rating. Travis Etienne had 50 yards rushing. Trevor Lawrence had the rushing touchdown. Uh, who's this? Parker Washington had a breakout game. 6 receptions for 145 yards and a touchdown. And Brenton Strange had a receiving touchdown. And Travis Etienne had a receiving touchdown. And yeah. So I'll start with the Broncos. Once again, I do think not all losses are bad losses unless they're in the playoffs, because then you go home. The Broncos lost to the Jaguars, and if you go and lose to somebody, this is how you lose. You get blown the fuck out, and you get embarrassed, and you have to rip up everything and really look at this tape and say, all right, let's get everything. Let's get all the information that we can get from it. Because a lot of times when you lose by 1 or 2 points, you say, oh, we almost had it. So you don't you don't invest as much into the finite details, and you lose this bad by not paying attention to the finite details. So I don't feel as though this is terrible for the Broncos because the Broncos haven't lost since September. Okay, they have not lost a game since September. Okay, this is shocking because they have not lost a game since September. But the Broncos need to go into the playoffs with a healthy fear of all the teams that are in the playoffs. And I think the Jaguars are a perfect team to say, we'll embarrass you if you don't come with your best. And I think the Broncos' best is as good as any team in this league. I said that they're my prediction for the Super Bowl coming out of the AFC, and I'm sticking with that despite of all of this. Now, when it comes to the Jaguars, last week I did say a lot about the Texans. Um, I think you got to start putting some respect on not just the Jacksonville Jaguars, but Trevor Lawrence as well. This is the kind of season we kind of hoped Trevor Lawrence to have. He was not giving us what we were looking for. And actually, the only reason we were still talking about Trevor Lawrence at all was because he beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers in the playoffs. And we expected Justin Herbert to be good. But that's really the only thing before the season that we can really hang our hat on and say, this is Trevor Lawrence being great. Jacksonville is a very scary team in the playoffs. I mean, it's hard to unsee things once you've seen it. So a lot of my hesitation with the Jacksonville Jaguars has to do with their past. And it's hard to look at that and evaluate a current team based off of a tendency. So my question is, do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars have broken their tendency, or are they the same old Jacksonville Jaguars? I'm very interested to hear what you guys got to say about that. Okay, let's go to the the game of the week, kind of, and which was the Patriots and the Ravens. Which ironically, the Ravens were favored in this game. I don't know how that happened, but the New England Patriots go into Baltimore, take care of the Ravens, 28-24. Uh, Lamar Jackson actually did get hurt in this game, which I need to hear more about that as well. But Lamar was 7 to 10 for 401 yards. And then Tyler Huntley came in and had 65 yards receiving. Derrick Henry had 18 carries for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers also had a rushing touchdown as well. He also had 7 receptions for 84 yards. And that's all that was really necessary now. Um, Drake May was 31 of 44, 380 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. He also got sacked 3 times, but his passer rating was 102, which is very good. Excuse me. Whew. Ramondre Stevenson led them with 51 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. And then Stephon Diggs, he had 9 receptions for 138 yards. He did not have a receiving touchdown. Kyle Williams had a receiving touchdown, and Hunter Henry also had a receiving touchdown. Wow, I can't believe Hunter Henry still is in NFL. I thought that man retired or something. Um, let's start with the Ravens. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of tired of the Baltimore Ravens now. We walked into the season and they were pretty much anointed the Super Bowl before the season even started. And I jumped on the bandwagon too when I looked at it. But I learned a very valuable lesson. First of all, don't build a secondary without building a natural pass rush. Through Patrick Mahomes, through through Lamar Jackson's tenure in Baltimore, he might have had good defenses. People are bringing up he had top 5 defenses. I get all that. He's never had a pass rush that can just disrupt another team. And the kind of pass rush that you need is a pass rush where you can get to somebody with 4 pass rushers. Baltimore Ravens have never had that all of Lamar Jackson's career. People need to pay attention to that. So he's been dealing with injuries all year, back, a toe, a hamstring. He was, well, the back happened this week, but it's so hard to watch them because even when they started off 2-5, I looked at them and I said, well, how they play, it should still win the AFC North. And now I'm looking at a team that just wants to invest energy into not winning the AFC North and not going to the playoffs. And I want to give them what they want. Just go home, Baltimore. It's over. Just go home. It's cool. Good try. But this year is as big of a failure in my eyes as remember when the Eagles had that dream team. Uh, it was Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy. They got Namni Asamoah. Remember that? This is very comparable to that. Um, this is disappointing, to say the least. Now, with the New England Patriots, now I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to not like Drake May. I really want to not like Drake May. Drake May is a baller, y'all. Drake May for me is number 2 in MVP. Matthew Stafford, I think, is just having too strong of a year, but he's having too strong of a year too. The New England Patriots have rebounded from a past dynasty, and they're now looking like a team who's starting to build a dynasty. Now we might have to pump the brakes on them a little bit come playoff time, only because they're just young. They just haven't done it. They haven't, but I do think a team is going to figure out the how do they say the green behind the ears. They haven't been there, done that yet, and I think they're going through the been there, done that throughout this year. But Mike Vrabel, what he's done, definitely coach of the year candidate in my eyes. Um, Phenomenal job. Salute to Mike Vrabel. Well, I think that's all the teams. Okay, whew. So that's all the teams that I got for week 16. Now, of course, there were a lot more games. I just held off on some things because based on the next topics, we we need to not mention some teams and talk about it. So, so let's take a breath for week 16. It was great. Week 17 is going to be a lot of games. I can't wait to see it. But what lies have we believed about certain teams this season? That's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about some things that were lies that people believed. Okay. So we should start with this. What lies have people believed? Chiefs, Bengals, Lions. I told you about all three of these teams having clear-cut flaws and me being called crazy or not knowing what I'm talking about it, and it's failed each and every one of them. First of all, the Chiefs. Did you see what the Chiefs looked like without Patrick Mahomes against the Tennessee Titans, who might again have the number one overall pick because they suck? It was a blowout. It wasn't even close. You need to look at this last game against the Tennessee Titans for the Kansas City Chiefs and say, this is what Patrick Mahomes dragged to three straight Super Bowls and won two of them. It's clear. It's just clearer for you to see. This is a bad roster. It's awful. They failed Patrick Mahomes. He tore his MCL last week, and then the quarterback who started this week tore his MCL this week. I've never seen nothing like this. Everything has been overestimated except for Chris Jones, who I think is very underrated. Outside of Chris Jones, everything is overestimated and bad, and Patrick Mahomes has made this look even. The fact that he made it look even average is amazing. So this is how bad it is for the Kansas City Chiefs. I hope that they get it together. My question to you is, what do they need to fix this roster? Okay. So the Cincinnati Bengals. I done told y'all stop building these teams from wide receiver down. See, Joe Burrow once again is carrying a bad roster. Now, they do have two standout wide receivers. I'm going on record saying I would love T. Higgins to be the number one wide receiver of my NFL franchise. The Cincinnati Bengals got to trade Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and really legitimately build a roster. Take so like out of the four positions where they're the best, that was Joe Burrow at quarterback, that was Jamar Chase at wide receiver, T. Higgins at wide receiver, and Trey Henderson at defensive end. You know which two of the four names I just named are the least integral in playoff success, in Super Bowl success? Those two wide receivers. You don't great quarterbacks do not need great wide receivers. And you'll keep telling me differently. Where you could get a lot. You could build an offensive line, a defensive line, corners by just trading both of them. Now I might exaggerate just a little bit, but you could fix 80% of what's wrong with this roster this offseason by doing just that. Sometimes, even if Joe Burrow is the one saying, I need both of them, sometimes as a GM, you might have to sit next to your quarterback, give him a pat on the back, and say, listen, man, you're not going to like what I'm about to do, but you're going to love what I give you in return. And that's the conversation you got to have with Joe Burrow. Because did you see how unhappy he looks? Did you see how unhappy he looks? Uh, uh, Excuse me. Andrew Luck. Why did I just talk about Andrew Luck? The similarities are right there. Okay. But if you think I'm wrong, what does the Cincinnati Bengals or what do the Cincinnati Bengals need to fix their roster? What moves do they have to make? And then the Detroit Lions. I tried to tell you, it's damn hard to replace a coordinator. Just because a couple dynasties showed you differently and made it seem like that's how the league is just done. No, those are rare cases. Even in those dynasties, those are rare. You can't just change a coordinator and just act like everything's going to remain the same. And I had questions about Dan Quinn even from the beginning. Now he's a good head coach, but I thought he was um, a recipient of though he was a recipient of coordinators that were excellent, top of the league. You know, talk about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Now he did this whole thing again, and as you can see, the offense and defense of the Detroit Lions has suffered. It's not the talent on the team. I do think that they should have gotten another pass rusher. Not my business. But these coordinators, the whole culture of their offense and defense is different. It's different now than it was before. And y'all just thought that it was just going to go seamlessly. Now, did I think they were going to miss the playoffs? Which we're still waiting to see. No, I didn't think they'd miss the playoffs, but I damn sure didn't think that they were going to go as far as people thought it was. And I didn't think they were going to go as far as their talent shows that they should go. You know, maybe, next year they'll be a lot better because they should keep their coordinators. If they keep their coordinators, they should be a lot better, unless the coordinators are bad. Now, the defensive coordinator, he's not bad. He's not bad. The offensive coordinator, we got questions about. Dan Campbell did start calling plays. We'll see. But Detroit Lions, I, these were all lies that we were told. We were told these lies about these rosters and about how NFL franchises were run, and we were wrong. Now, teams who are going to have a first round exit. Let's talk about it. Teams that are going to have a first round exit. Hmm. Okay, teams that are going to have a first round exit. Whoever wins the NFC South is going to have a first round exit, whether that be the Carolina Panthers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're going home. Your best hope is that somehow you sneak around and get the 49ers, who are just, I could see that matchup going your way. Maybe, because the 49ers been going crazy too. But whoever you get in the first round, whether it be the Seahawks, the Bears, the Eagles, or the Rams, you're going to lose that game. Okay, you're going to lose to any of those teams, all of them. It does not matter. Whoever wins the NFC South, I just want you to know it's been a great season. Round of applause to you. You got there, but it will be over probably pretty fast into the first quarter if you once you get into the playoffs. So that's it from the NFC. From the NFC, that's my pick. I also have an AFC pick. Oh no, I don't. Excuse me. Yeah, I do. My AFC pick. Who's going to lose in the first round in the playoffs in the AFC? The New England Patriots. I don't know what y'all think this is. Um, they're not dynamic at any of these positions. Now, offensively, they look amazing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Their offense looks great. But well, but in terms of picks, they have like 8 picks all year, which is uh, their sacks are way down. They're like middle of the road in terms of sacks, and those things are going to be transferable for them in the playoffs. And I don't like teams that can't generate a pass rush, a natural pass rush. Their turnovers are going to remain down, so they're not going to really affect offenses in the way that basically says, and it doesn't matter who they play. They're not going to affect offenses in a way that says it's going to change the game. So look for the New England Patriots to lose in round one. So that's teams who's going to lose. That's teams who's going to go home in the first round exit. Um, so which leads us to who do you not want to see in the playoffs? I got an NFC and AFC team with that too. Who do you not want to see in the playoffs? Start with my NFC team. Seattle Seahawks. You might want to avoid them. Now, outside of the Rams, who see them twice a year, who, we'll see what happens with that. I think every other team, you might want to avoid them. The Philadelphia Eagles, you might want to avoid the Seattle Seahawks. This defense is top three. This is probably the third best defense in the NFL. Their sacks, they're top five in sacks. They're top five in interceptions. They're top five in tackles for loss. This defense is flying around. They don't give up a lot of points and anything. The only way that they're gonna lose is they've given up a lot of sacks, and believe it or not, there has been a certain amount of turnovers that's come. Sam Darnold is that's the linchpin right there. That if they're going to lose, it's going to be because of Sam Darnold in this offensive line. Their best bet is to run the ball a little bit more come playoff time and just shrink the game and let their defense talk for them. But we'll see what happens. But Sam Darnold, I think, even this is not his first really good season. I still feel as though his ceiling is lower than the other playoff quarterbacks. And that's it. But outside of that, you better leave them alone. You better leave the Seattle Seahawks alone and go play somebody else. You heard it here first. And now my other team, my AFC team, for who you might want to avoid. Oh, I did. Oh, you know exactly where I'm going with this. The Houston Texans. Get away from Houston if you can. This is the best defense in the NFL. Houston, their sacks are up. Their interceptions are up. Their tackles for losses are up. The only thing about Houston that can hold them up is their offensive line leading to their running game. And if I'm Houston, I'm still going to ride my run game come playoff time. Now, nothing's set in stone. Technically speaking, they could still miss the playoffs. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell y'all right now. Nothing's set in stone, but if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm leaning on my defense all, all playoff long, and I'm gonna let CJ Stroud just make a couple of decisions, and that's how I'm going to win games. But like in the first round right now, so in the first round right now, they'd have the New England Patriots. I'm picking I'm picking the Houston Texans against the New England Patriots if they play them right now. Even if they played Pittsburgh, which is the next one, I'm picking the Houston Texans against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. So the teams that are going to have home field, sorry, one of y'all are going home. Round one, wild card, it's over. It was a great season. But you guys tell me, do you think the Houston Texans are as good as I think they are? Let me know. And right there, guys, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. This has been a great episode. This has been smooth. I like this. This was, I try to avoid words like intimate pause because I know y'all get it. But we're gonna wrap this thing up. So you can catch the full episodes on Spotify and YouTube. And you can catch the reels on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We all over the place. Guys, I'm your boy Reek. And I love y'all. Unfortunately, somebody got to tell y'all because you don't know football. Like Martin said, I'm going to see you when I see you. Peace.